right, let's go all to order. Start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, hello, everyone. We start tonight with the public hearing regarding our budget. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing? So moved. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any against? Okay.
Good evening, everybody. So we're going to start today with the public budget presentation. This is going to largely mirror what we've shared in our last budget. Our last presentation when the board adopted the budget. The Board of Education was given out this evening a full package of information. This is the entirety of the public budget document. That includes tonight's slide presentation, as well as the property tax report card. That's a document that we'll explain at the end of the discussion tonight. But that basically just illustrates the current year tax levy and what the current year operating budget and tax levy as compares to the coming year's proposed budget and tax levy, as well as the allocations to our existing reserve funds. Behind that, at the end of the packet, you're going to see 29 pages that comprises our summary budget workbook. And I'll explain when we get to the revenue slide, I'll kind of show you the correlation between that and what we've presented in summary thus far. So this screen is just a timeline update of where we are in the process, right? Today is the public budget hearing. This is our last public presentation and discussion prior to the vote on the 21st. So if anybody has any questions, we hope they share them today. And certainly if any community members have any questions about the budget, they can reach out to us either individually or through our district.info email address on the website.
School district budgets are broken up in three components: program, administrative, and capital. It's always our goal to make sure that the program component of the budget is by far the largest, because that is everything that directly services students. So that's all of the salaries and benefits for our instructional staff, including teachers and teachers' aides. It includes any instructional supplies and materials, any instructional or educational services for BOCES or other programs for students with disabilities. It has to do with any development programs, student testing, library, counseling services, health and mental health services, and any intervention or summer related services. So that is by far the largest portion of our budget at $26,499,064, which is approximately 76.64% of our budget. Additionally, we have an administrative component, and that is all things to do with administration, not just the actual administrators, but anything to do with the administration of certain central offices and functions. So payroll, human resources, anything to do with benefits, data processing, our auditing and legal services, tax collection, purchases, and public information. That we try to keep right around 10% of our budget, and this year we're at 10.31%, with $3,564,726 being allocated to the administrative component. And our capital component is about 4.5 million, or 13% of our budget, and that has to do with anything to do with running our buildings and maintaining them. So all of our salaries for custodial maintenance workers, building and ground staff, as well as all the supplies and materials that go along with that. And some particular tax proceedings and also court claims and utilities come out of that as well. So in summary, the pie chart of our three budget components look like this. Again, the program component being by far the largest with just under 77%, our capital component right around 13%, and our administrative component right around 10%, which is our goal. We're very proud of the fact that we have reallocated many things within our budget, but we continue to maintain one of the lowest administrative components and the highest program components over the last 6 years. So we are right within our goals. And now Mr. Garcia will tell us about our expenses and projected revenues for the upcoming school year.
So just as a reminder, we provide this chart because this is a summary of all of the projected expenses for the coming school year. Now, if anybody was to review the public budget document that's posted on our board doc site or what the board has in front of them, this booklet is available in every main office of every school building in the district, as well as in the superintendent's office, the business office, and the Millbrook Public Library. That booklet will contain breakouts of every one of the lines on this chart. So we don't typically put the code numbers here because it just makes it very cluttered visually. But that first line for Board of Education, those are all the 10xx.xxx numbers, right? That's the 10 series of budget codes. As you work through the workbook, you'll see that the 12 series is for administration, the 13 series is for finance, 14 for staff, and so on and so forth. When you get to the 2000 series, that's right here in the total supervision of curriculum and development and research. That's the section that begins really the meat of our program budget. And that goes all the way down until we get to pupil transportation in the 55 codes, and then benefits are down in the 9,000 codes. So as you're going through the public budget document, it flows sequentially the same way this chart does. There'll be a summary page within that booklet that will reflect the bottom line numbers in this chart. But just to remind those at home that may be watching, or anybody that's reviewing this paperwork for the first time, the district is projecting an increase of expenses of 1.69%. or just about $575,000. It's one of the most conservative budget increases we've had in quite some time. It was done very intentionally by the administration and the Board of Education collectively to trim down all of the expenses that were not contractually or otherwise required and really control our elective expenses to the best of our ability. And we have a slide coming up that'll give you the breakdown of what those numbers look like compared to each other. But in order to balance the budget, we have to match our projected expenses with our projected revenues. And so on the next slide here, you'll see what our revenue projections look like. And most critical here, again, the tax levy, what we ask our taxpayers to support is 26 million out of our, or 27 million out of our $34 million budget. So it is by far the lion's share of our revenue. You'll notice that the second biggest portion that contributes to that is our state aid number. That's this number, fourth one up from the bottom. That's $4.8 million. And you can see that versus what we expected last year and even what we got from last year, it is very close. We are expecting a minimal, if negligible increase to our state aid package this year. And I'll speak a little bit more about the downturn in state aid as we move forward. But our budget to budget difference on the revenue projection is also under 2% this year, for a total budget again of $34.5 million. What I do want to bring the board's attention to is the very last line is our fund balance appropriation. And we talked about this in the past, but again, as a refresher, in order to balance our budget, the district does take any monies that we did not spend beyond our 4% cap from the state in unassigned fund balance. And we appropriate it to the following year to help reduce the tax levy and offset our expenses. That number has crept up from 375,000 to over 1.8 million over the last 6 years. Our goal was to get it down underneath where we were in the current year, but we were over 1.8 million. This year, we're just under 1.8, so we're at 1.74, which may not seem like a lot, but given a almost flat state aid package with minimal additional aid coming year over year, we trimmed a considerable amount of expenses in order to only need to appropriate that much fund balance. One of the questions that we get is a lot of our lawmakers are promising that we will be, in what's called a held harmless state, or we're going to get at least what we got last year. But we haven't seen it yet. We're checking every single day to see if the state has approved it. It has not been approved yet. If they do approve it, we may see up to an additional $300,000 in state aid revenue. If that happens, it will be offset. It'll offset this fund balance appropriation necessary to carry forward for next year. We can't change the tax levy. That's already locked in. We had to commit to that when the board adopted our budget. However, we can put any additional revenue that we receive beyond our current expectation towards a future tax levy, towards offsetting capital expenditures or other monies we would otherwise have to ask the taxpayers for. So we can give it back to the taxpayers conceptually, and we have a couple of different options to do that if these additional revenues come through. So I would like to say that this is close to our worst case scenario, assuming that none of our revenues, pictures change from now to next school year.
So we always like to highlight some of the additions or changes to our budget. This year, we actually were able to look at all of our students who were placed in out-of-district programs or who we were seeking out-of-district programs for. And we were able to create a program in-house and bring some of those students back. So with that, it's really a reallocation, but it required us to hire a special education teacher. Again, the money to fund that position was coming from other tuition services that we were already paying for in different areas of our budget. Additionally, we hired a new health aide that was directly related to a specific student's needs, requiring them to have a specialized aid. So when we look at staffing, sometimes we're talking about a whole new person, and sometimes we're looking at a position that's reallocated within our staffing structure. Additions to the budget in terms of goods and services, we have increased funding for contract nursing services. That is because it's very difficult to find any substitute nurses. So we do advertise for them, but when we cannot find one and we have specific student needs requiring a nurse in the building at all times, we do use a contracted nursing agency. Additionally, prior to this year, we've had our public information services through BOCES built into one of the COVID relief grants. So we're moving that into the general fund budget. So again, it's not a new position, it's a position that's existed, but we're moving it out of grant funding and into our general fund. Other reallocations within the budget, we are changing the position of tech administrator to a instructional technology integrator and also a help desk technician. So we're actually splitting that position into two. And we're also funding contracted tutoring services due to the increase in required services provided to students when they have an extended absence from school and really the difficulty of staffing those positions. So we'll be working with an agency who can provide tutoring services whenever we need. And then, as I mentioned previously, we've had some private school tuition for students with disabilities that are being reallocated to establish new district programs. So that's the changes and or additions to our budget for the 24-25 school year.
So how that's reflected in dollars, we spoke a little bit before about money that we expected versus money that's not coming, right? Of the proposed $575,000 budget increase, we felt it was really important to highlight that of that number, 85% of that, just over 492,000 of the 575 is contractually obligated by salary and related expenses. So whether the budget passes or not, that 85% of our increase, we're on the hook for that no matter what. The district is obligated to spend that money. Knowing that, we went in and we kept fine tuning the things that we can control. And of the things that we can control, we proposed a $169,000, almost $170,000 reduction in other expenses. There's plenty of things we would love to do for our school district, for our community and our kids, but we're trying to be very conservative this year with all the other things we have going on. And so we wanted to make sure that we highlighted that. The changes in state aid, again, I mentioned earlier, if we get what they promised us, you know, right now, we're gonna get back that bottom $197,000, but we have to go into this as if we're not. And our foundation aid was cut 6.8% to the tune of $197,000. Beyond that, it's important for the board to know because our state aid numbers do show a moderate increase. However, that's an increase based on a projection from January, and I put it in the, just as a point of reference that from our budget this time last year to what we actually got from the state, we saw a reduction in aid of $328,000. So with all these numbers in play, we really felt it was the most responsible thing to do to come to the board and say, we're not planning to get any additional state aid this year. Whereas typically our state aid grows as inflation grows, as the tax levy grows, and this year it's just not moving. And so for that reason, We needed to be prepared to reduce other costs to offset the loss of revenue. It's also why, as we go to the summary slide at the very end of the presentation, you'll see that the tax levy increase year over year is greater than the budget increase. And the reason for that is that we need the tax levy to offset the loss in state aid revenue. Very simple as that. If the voters do not approve the budget, so again, we're hopeful that the community recognizes that this is a very conservative and responsible budget, but if the voters do not support it, then we have two options. The Board of Education can tell the administration, can tell us to come back with a different budget, and we can come back with a proposed further reduction. Of course, anything that we reduce beyond what we've already shared is going to affect our children. That's just the reality of where we are financially. Or the board can say that we're not going to entertain a second budget and we're going directly to contingency. And in very plain language, the contingency budget would basically say to the community, we have to go with the last tax levy that the public did authorize, right? So the public gave us a tax levy authorization for the 23-24 school year. If they do not authorize an increase to the tax levy for next year, we have to maintain the same levy. For us, that would be recognizing a loss of $844,000 in revenue going into next year. We have to make that money up somehow. And a part of how we make that money up is dictated by the state. First thing we do is remove all equipment expenses from the budget. The next thing we have to do is remove all non-contractual salary increases to any non-contractual staff members in the district. So we do that. So all of that comes out. And then we have to start going in and making elective cuts aligned with the state laws around contingent budgets. And so you'll see here, we broke it out into three categories. There's the salary increases for non-union staff and the equipment broken out very clearly because the state tells us those are the first things that have to go. Then we went in and we looked at anything that we could possibly remove that is not directly student facing. And when we did all of that, we were able to come up with $535,000 in reductions. That leaves us short $308,000. Now, if for some reason our state aid package does come through, that would possibly offset that. But the reality is we committed to the board that we would not be cutting any jobs, certainly not any program jobs unnecessarily and unfairly. But I will say that I don't know of another way to find that $308,000 deficit without cutting positions of student-facing positions. We're talking about teaching positions, we're talking about teaching related positions, things that'll no doubt directly affect our kids. So we just want to be very transparent with where that money would have to come from. It would be an arduous exercise that we hopefully don't have to undertake, but we are already prepared to look at what those cuts make. And so in summary, we're looking at a $575,702 budget to budget difference, so 1.69% expense budget growth. And a levy to levy difference of $844,231 or 3.22%. Now that 3.2% is within the tax cap. So we are honoring the state's regulations on tax cap compliance. And again, just to be completely transparent, the reason why our tax levy is going up more than our budget to budget increase is simply due to offsetting the loss of state aid from New York. Any questions?
Question? We have anything from the public, Cheryl?
No.
Okay. Sure there's no question? All right. Do a motion to close the public hearing? Do you have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? All right. Thank you, Elliot. Thank you, Caroline. Next is the consent agenda. Anything that someone wants to completely pull off of it rather than discuss?
Just such questions.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Questions, comments?
I have a question on 5, 7, 8, and 9. For 5, this is for, my understanding, ensuring that the students are where they reside and or those in need of services that might not reside in the district, but they qualify under being in this district to monitor that?
Sort of, yes.
Or maybe you can tell me more.
So it's a tracking system and it just basically, it has to do with the cost of these services and how we bill back, either whether it's other districts or how we report the aid for aid purposes, how we report to the state to get money back into the district for the services that we provide.
Okay.
But this is, you're speaking about students with special education services.
Okay, and, it has the duties of the district, but are they going, it doesn't mention anything about confidentiality, like them preserving confidentiality, will that be a separate, like, will that be something they separately sign, or is that an automatic given?
I mean, yes, it is it's an automatic given, so we have to, they have to sign all of the same paperwork for like anything to do with Medicaid, anything like that, maintaining, both confidentiality and, you know, obviously all ethical standards related to that type of work.
Okay. And then about 7, what is the tutoring for and the duration?
So, yeah, it would all depend. Typically, the tutoring is for students who are absent or have been absent and are owed hours for tutoring.
What grade levels?
It could be any grade.
Oh, any grade, okay. And that's just till the end of this school year.
Yeah, so basically that, anytime we have to utilize somebody in that type of way, we have to have a mechanism to pay them. And this particular person, isn't part of the Holbrook Teachers Association. And so that is the tutoring rate as per the Teachers Association contract. So we need to appoint them on record that that's the function that they're doing and that's the rate.
And is there any cap on the number of hours?
Yes, so that's set in regulation.
Okay. Thank you. And then, just about 8, who will they be mentoring?
So those positions that were just filled for the special education teacher in the 811 program is at Elm Drive and the new pre-K teacher.
And then lastly, for 9, is there a cap on that as well for the number of hours?
So it's based on a 7-hour workday and it wouldn't exceed 7 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did it this way in case there was times when either they were unable to be here for a full 7-hour day or it wasn't necessary. We figured billable hours was easier than a daily rate of pay.
Okay, thank you so much.
I had a follow-up question about 9 and then 10. So 9 for food service, that's interim because the person doesn't want.
So
Should
that
we
was
launch?
a decision we actually made. Number 1, the title that was previously in existence, we're not sure if that's the title we want to maintain in terms of the civil service roles and responsibilities.
Okay.
So that's number 1. Number 2, we wanted somebody who had experience and can hit the ground running. And one of the things that we've talked about a lot, Amy Elliott and I, is that that's one area of education that none of us have experience in. So we really wanted somebody who had experience, who could come in and spend some time here reviewing the functioning of the department and be able to make some clear recommendations to us on things that we should, you know, sort of stop, start, continue kind of thing. So that's why we went for this model for a period of time to get everything where we want it to be and some clear recommendations as to what staffing structure we need.
Okay. So that person could potentially,
They're a retired person. I don't think they're interested in continuing.
okay,
But it's fine for us because that's not necessarily what we're looking for from them.
okay. And then 10, the Regents Boot Camp, is this the first year that we've done
Yes.
this? Okay, and so that's great.
Formally, it's the first year we've done it formally.
Okay,
So some of the teachers at the high school have done it previously, but this is the first year we've done it for all regions tested areas.
are these the 4 The
No, we
four-
appointed some of them at a previous meeting.
Yes, wondering, what is checkpoint B?
Checkpoint B. So, I'm not gonna remember how many years ago, but the state did away with the regions and languages other than English. And so they replaced it with a locally designed test that's modeled after regions that's now referred to as checkpoint B. So checkpoint A is was the Spanish or like the French or Spanish proficiency exam that they would take at the end of 8th grade.
Okay,
And then checkpoint B is what they take at the end of 10th grade, which is when they used to take the regions exam.
okay, all right, thanks.
I have a really quick question. The board meeting that we're moving, it is gonna be at 7, right? We're not changing the time, the June one that we're moving.
But we changed the time of the middle school event. Right?
Yes.
We're
It's gonna
changing
be
the
at
middle
7.
school event to 6, so that the board meeting starts at 7.
The parent orientation thing. Okay. So, and the board meeting is at 7. Yes, okay. Thank you.
But we still. Are we planning to do it on the 6th?
Yes.
Yeah. Any other questions? All in favor? Any against? New business, our meeting schedule, anybody, do I have a motion to approve?
The only thing I was wondering, fine with me, just wanted to make sure that November 5th, that's election day, and as kids are out of school that day too, right? So because of superintendent conference day. So I just wanted to make sure that doesn't pose a problem for me. Everyone else realize that?
They are at a school birthday?
Yeah. I looked at the calendar.
Where is the? Way ahead of me.
He approved it at our last meeting.
So I have a motion to approve,
So moved.
so a second,
I'll second.
any other questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Aye. Any against? All right, next, just to let you guys know, we get to go to this, the Distinguished Graduate Recognition Breakfast, which is, valedictorian, salutatorian. I get to go and eat all the food. It's always a fun event and it's really wonderful to see our kids with all the other, from the county. And not going into any detail, Super Val is open now for you guys to go in and start doing your review. Caroline is in process of doing hers. We need to finish by June 15th, because that's a contractual commitment. So, if you're having any trouble with getting into Super Val or any of that stuff, call Cheryl. All right, I think that was all I had. And I missed it because it was on the road, but the Dutchess County School Board Association did have the troopers come in and do the cybersecurity. They can't send it out because it actually has real, like this really happened stuff in it. But I believe they're willing to do follow-on presentations to like different boards. So think about it. We might get it on a later board meeting. But that's all I've got. Chris, do you have anything? Good. Carolyn?
So I just realized that my report did not upload, so I apologize. I'll put it in there after the meeting. So for instruction, you'll see we are continuing with our professional development in the areas of ELA and math. So there will be dates and times when Shelley Klein will be at Elm Drive, Megan Hargrave will be with Alden Place, and then also Angela Sobran has been here for math as well. Pre-K and K screening will take place between May 13th and 16th. And tomorrow night, Alden Place will host E&L night for the district at 6 p.m. So that'll be tomorrow night. And Thursday, the New York State test for grades 5 and 8 in the subject area of science will take place. Elm Drive practiced a blocked exit evacuation drill on April 30th. So students and staff did a great job responding to an obstacle during the evacuation. That's something that we were required to do. And Elm Drive has completed all their required drills for the school year. Our facilities department has been working really hard, so kudos to them on our outdoor learning spaces, servicing our playgrounds, and also maintaining athletic fields for spring sports. They've also this week been responding to sort of a surprise when our main food service freezer died. So we've done some service, we've done a lot of shuffling of frozen foods, trying to check all the freezers in the district to make sure they're maintaining temperature. Obviously, making sure that all of our students' food resources are safe and kept to temperature, which we've been able to do thus far. Just today, we actually were able to get a freezer truck. So we have a freezer trailer exterior down by this kitchen. That was delivered today. We had electricians out here setting it up. So it was quite an ordeal, but it is here. It is plugged in and we will let it run overnight, make sure it's the temperature, and then we will fill it with all of our frozen foods. So thankfully, we were able to work with some folks in the region who had the availability of a freezer truck. So we are good for now, but we will have to make decisions as to what we are doing with our existing freezer. And we may have more information for board consideration at the next meeting regarding that. Additionally, we had both our Fit Lab and our synthetic turf field set for inspection. So they'll be inspected and tested, and we actually have now initiated an ongoing service contract for the equipment in our Fit Lab. So that's good. It's something that hasn't been done before, and those equipment machines haven't really been maintained in the proper way. So rather than lose them, we want to make sure that we begin to maintain them and make sure that we can use them as long as possible, safely as possible. So some other news, we had some exciting events, Grandparents' Day on the 26th at Elm Drive, also the tree planting. So thank you to Mr. Herzog and the Shade Tree Commission, who organized the tree planting for Earth Day and also allowed students to learn both about elm trees, but also participate in the actual planting process. They were all able to shovel some soil, so that was very nice of them. And you'll see in there, I have a full slew of upcoming dates, including our PTO sponsored staff appreciation days. Each of the dates is listed with the location. So if you are able to bring a dessert for that event, it will tell you where to drop it off. And I love the fact that each building gets their own day, and then food service facilities and maintenance will have their own time. And then also the folks at First Student who transport our students every day will have their own site appreciation. So we appreciate anything that you can donate. And just a reminder, Alden Place Field Day, before I printed this, was actually changed until the 14th because of the anticipated rain this week. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
No, I just have a comment. I went to, not as a board member, but as a citizen, I guess, to map at Veronis. That was just like a blast of watching them, because they go in and they say, the paper says you get like, you're gonna have 24 people, you want to meet out a quarter pound burger. Figure out how many quarter pound, how many pounds of hamburger you need, ask the butcher how much hamburger is, figure out all that, how many bags of rolls do you need, potato chips. It was actually, and there was a bunch of them running around, you know, like trying to figure out, oh, no, don't buy those chips. And it's like, but it was really good. And I don't know who, you know, kind
Pretty
of
sure
came up
that's
with
the
that.
dances.
But that was really
Yeah.
funny. And it
She
was
does a great job with that.
Presidential award winner for a reason, right?
good. Howard, go ahead.
On the freezer truck, what kind of, contract is, did the district sign for it?
It's a rental contract, so again, it's sort of a temporary holdover until we can make a decision as to what we will be doing, for a permanent solution. Obviously, one of the options, if May 21st, the vote goes through, one of the things that we had spoken about is we would have to expand the concrete slab out there and possibly put that into New York State just as the first initial project that we would do as part of a positive capital vote. And just separate that out and do it right away. So that's one option. The other option includes an emergency repair of the motor on the one that we have right now.
Existing, right?
Yeah, the truth is that part of the reason that we were looking to, include this in the capital project is the one we have just isn't big enough. So it's presented a problem all the way, all along, so it's not necessarily something that we're looking to do. But we did get a quote on that also, because we don't know how these things are gonna play out. We don't know how May 21st is gonna play out, so we just have to, at this point, be prepared for anything, but in the meantime, we have to make sure our food is kept safe.
Well, correct. And what is this per day costing us, or per week, or?
So it's actually a monthly rental, and, the price quote that we had originally gotten was for a 40-foot trailer, but we ended up, because of the fact that our freezers, can't maintain they're literally stuffed with food. We had to move it up, and the first available was actually a 14 by 8-foot freezer truck. So right now, the cost is, less than we had originally anticipated.
It's gonna be around $600, but I have to.
month.
A month, no,
Total.
that's fine.
Yeah.
We just have
Around
to
is
go.
fine, around.
Yeah.
is-
But we're also not certain that we're keeping the 14-foot one. It's just, that was the first available, so.
Understood, you need,
We're gonna see what space we have. We're gonna see if we need more space. We had to actually turn away a delivery yesterday, which is not something we want to be doing.
no,
So in that case, once we know better what we actually need or what's optimal, I guess I would say, we'll have a better figure.
I mean, it's fortuitous that it is May and the budget vote is coming up,
Right?
so.
And I mean, we're kind of feeling like we're getting so close to the vote with some of these things. We're starting to like hope for an end in sight, and it's like things are just falling apart, and
Understood.
it's a little disheartening at this point.
Now, who owns the maintenance on that, on the rental? Is
On
that-
the rental,
The rental company
Yeah.
owns the unit. We're responsible for just, keeping it plugged in. We tie power to it. They supervise the tying of power, we energize it with them present. It's their trailer. It's just living here. So we make a different decision.
Good. Anything else? All right. Let's see, Amy?
Sure. Okay, so we have some really wonderful virtual and in-person activities. I don't want to take Ms. Wolfsburg's spotlight tonight, but a few things are happening. So be looking in your mailbox for our listeners at home. The budget newsletter is going to be arriving soon. So that'll have all the information that has been recorded at each of these meetings and shared at all of those presentations, but it'll be a print copy. It'll also be shared, as Mr. Garcia said earlier, in the public places throughout the village. In addition, the RFP was posted on our webpage for pre-K. That's a requirement. I know I had a few parents reach out to me worried that we were getting rid of our pre-K, so we wanted to make sure everybody knew that we weren't, that we are very proud of the pre-K program that we have built here in the district. But as part of the grant that we received through New York State, we are required to send out a request for proposals to see if there's agencies in the area. So we're following that mandate. In addition, you'll see listed in my update that there's a virtual presentation happening next Wednesday, I believe is the 15th, with Tom Rydell. You've heard his name before. He was here, last year for us, but that's a free, opportunity with a link. You do have to register ahead of time, so we encourage anyone that didn't have a chance or thought it was really great, and very informative. So you might want to watch that again. It's an hour and a half, but you can join at any time as long as you register ahead of time. Also through the county, it's just nice to get these resources. So I put it in the newsletter, the youth mental health, as you're aware, and you'll hear from Schoolsburg, it is May is Mental Health Month, and there is a training that's happening through the county on the 22nd. So if you were interested in that, there's some clickable information in my update that for you to sign up for that. So last week, Ms. O'Connell and I had the opportunity to go to Albany for the New York State Ed Pre-K Day. This was an opportunity for us to hear from Dr. Betty Rosa and just the state's commitment to providing pre-K grants and funding for our students and expectations. There were presentations from programs around the state, of which Ms. O'Connell and I are going to try to apply to be one of those presenters next year, because we are very proud of what we do here. And then we attended several of those sessions, so that was helpful. And truly, most importantly, I had the opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation regarding the grant process to make sure what we were doing was following the guidelines. We are still seeking for staffing updates in AIS for lead replacement at Alden. I've had several candidates apply, and we do have one actually coming in this week for an interview, so we're hopeful that we will be able to secure someone. You've already heard about state testing. Tomorrow, again, just a reminder for Eden Bingo Night. Thursday, you'll hear more from the Schools Board for Wellness Fair. AP started this week, so Mr. Syfe has been very busy over there, as our students have, as they're taking the AP exams. You heard about Regents Boot Camp and our consultants. Any questions?
Can you just back up a little bit, that RFP,
I know.
what's, I mean, somebody comes in and says, I'll run your pre-K for $50, and they
Yeah,
can
well,
take it.
so we were really careful about how it was written. The state requires it. So we didn't do this previously, but in order to get the funding, the state requires it. Working through legal and speaking with the state said we don't have to approve anyone just because they submit their RFP. It is an arduous RFP of what they have to submit to us. It has to align with the standards of what we are supporting with our students. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't align, we don't have to accept their RFP.
And so the requirement is that there's 10% of the pre-K funds that we accept from grants. 10% of that has to be put in a set aside for a community-based organization to partner with the district. And so previously we had used Healthy Kids because we already had a relationship with them. So they were providing push-in services during the school day. And the grant reviewers have said that that's no longer allowable, and it actually has to be funds to send two students to a community-based pre-K organization, but then they would have to essentially show, like Amy's saying, equivalence with our program, that they follow our standards, that they have the same rigor kind of thing. And so when we do that opening, we'll see if there's anybody that matches that, but we don't necessarily have to.
Just do me a favor, please keep us like week to week, because this is the kind of stuff from the state that just makes me, well, somebody thought this was a good idea to throw this out there. I don't know, just please keep us on a regular update, because this is, I don't know. Anyway, just please keep us on a regular update. Any other questions?
Oh, I had one. For the youth mental health training, is that link for anybody?
Yes,
To-
yeah,
so
it's a county
anyone
link,
in the
yes.
community
for
public
anyone.
that's
Mhm.
interested? Okay.
Yeah, Yep, it's open to anyone.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
All right, you.
Well, start off, I just want to thank all the maintenance and custodial workers for all that hard work, keeping our grounds and schools clean and safe for all the students and staff. I'd also like to thank Ms. Nancy O'Hara for all our hard work in creating the district's preventive maintenance logbooks we have now. They're gonna be in each school. And this way, the custodians, maintenance, they'll know when and what to check. And we have daily things to do, weekly things, bi-weekly, monthly. So she did a great job on creating these logbooks. We beautified all the outside areas for the spring, we refreshed the mulch, we cleaned the parking lots, and all the salt that was out there from the winter. All lawn and grounds equipment has been serviced by the maintenance staff, and it's up and running. The athletic field, the irrigation system has been turned on, and the service for season. Trying to paint on the home run outfield poles, and we've done since I've been here, at least 5 years. We also laid pea gravel along the entrances of the dugouts to make it mud, because it's stopping in mud over there, so we've got pea gravel there, to mitigate it. At the high school, the college career fair was a success. Facilities Department Assistant Amanda Booth offering information on summer and future custodial employment. We have some kids interested, and they actually took applications. That was the first time I was done. The middle school, we installed a smart water projector in the bedroom. We renovated the second all-gender restaurant, entirely by the maintenance staff, which is down the hall there, so both these bedrooms have been remodeled, all done by the maintenance staff. We painted the exterior concrete wall at the lower entrance over, around to gray to the local colors down by the auditorium, refreshed it. We assembled 3 picnic tables for the creation of the outdoor learning center, which is in the back of the 3rd floor landing here. We purchased a new main entrance water coffee, you've probably seen in the counter with the logo on it, we're gonna put them in all the schools, that's the plan. At all, we shampooed all the coffee areas during spring break. We installed a new AV cabinet as part of the district facility initiative. And as part of our 5-year rotation plan, we removed 1/3 of playground mulch and installed new safety certified mulch. So we're breaking the playgrounds down into grids, and then take it all up. It gets compacted after years and years, and we'll refresh it. So that's a big goal. So we have the playgrounds out in place. Okay, now, shampooed all the top areas over spring break over into. We had an inspection performed on the rock climbing wall as part of the maintenance program. Coordinated the replacement, upgraded the water meter at the village and notebook, so we installed new water meters, so notebook to village notebook, which we have a good relationship with, which is really good. We installed a new AED cabinet as part of the district safety initiative, also that found it out. Arranged replacement 2 broken windows. Kid kicked the soccer ball, which that happens, it was an accident, so we had the window company come right out, change the window without losing class. While we waited for the window to fly it up, so the kids can go that fast. We also assisted with the creation of the outdoor learning center, where the old pre-K playground was. So we fixed that all up, and now we've got 5 tables out there, the kids can go out there, which is fascinating. And we also installed the sewage 504 plant, so kid came back to school after the break, we were in the AC, we jumped right on, we got the AC in the classroom and the service, so that was 504. Got it? Any questions?
Did we sign that kid up, whoever kicked the soccer ball? Soccer?
Down there.
Yeah, little guy out there in the field, I was like, wow, that happened.
That's the benefit of having single pane windows.
Yeah, window, there you go.
Well said.
Right, all framed and all.
Yeah.
The outdoor,
Learning space.
yeah, is that like a sort of a formal part of the education, like pay every, we go out there to study bugs, or is that just like a reward program? How is that being used?
So I know in conversations with Ms. O'Connell, what their hope is that, to give a break from indoors, the students will go outside as an outdoor classroom. They can use it for inspiration during writing, so they can be writing about nature. It is an additional area if they wanted to go out for a snack, that type of thing. It's just more that it's influenced that they have learning skills.
Did you guys offer that? I know some of the neighbors were, a little concerned that we were just gonna have a chain link fence out there. You
That's
guys,
where it is now, it looks really good, we refreshed with mulch all around the inside, we have the concrete pad on the center of it, with the 5 tables, and it looks really well. We also have one, we have it at Alden. And the plan is to do it at the high school, it's a cycle, like to do that to the back. So we buy the tables, and then we put them together, not there, says what I think.
John, I have something, it's never fun to talk about porta potties, but the two up on the athletic field, I don't know if that's you or Mr. Hamel, but both of them are just covered inside and out with the gypsy moms. And then the one closest to us, right? That lock's not securing, so.
Yeah, Mr. Hamel, he deals with contracts.
Okay, I don't know.
But we'll take
I just
the
wanted-
what's out there and we'll do.
Yeah, 'cause
Exterminated.
There's a meet tomorrow, home meet. So I don't know, you know, we don't want our guests looking at, or even our students.
I'll talk to them in the morning, first thing in the morning. I think every Wednesday they swap them out. I think that's the day when they swap them out.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure what type of schedule. but-
Yeah, every Wednesday, I know
Yeah.
for a fact and swap out. So we usually have the
Okay.
gate closed and then they always call for us to open up the gate.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Yep.
anything else for John? All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
John.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. As you can see, there are a lot of exciting upcoming dates for our students in the next couple of months. Upcoming is our Spring Advisory Council, so our school counselors will present to our advisory council board on their school counseling data surrounding their 23-24 school year goals, and that those goals are ruler and college and career readiness. So we just met yesterday as a team to review the college and career data, and we have some very interesting and exciting news to share about the progress that our students have been making. Additionally, you'll see, excuse me for an error for some dates, but I just want to confirm that we have our underclass award ceremony Monday, June 3rd at 9:30 a.m. in the high school auditorium. We have our senior awards night Monday, June 10th at 6 p.m. in the high school auditorium. And our commencement ceremony, which will occur Friday, June 21st at 7 p.m. And so those dates are corrected dates. I apologize for any confusion, and that will be updated. Additionally, we have some very exciting news to share about our CAPE counselor and our progress surrounding our student assistants in Millbrook Middle School and High School. So a lot of events and programs for students occurred during the year that had stemmed from my collaboration with our CAPE counselor, and we brought back SAD Club, so Students Against Disruptive Decisions. And she has recruited a lot of members of that club who have participated in a lot of events for the high school students. We also have our youth leadership team, which is coordinated by myself, Mrs. Willingian, and the Northern Duchess Coalition. Andrea Pucci, who we come together as a team, and we have students who are youth leaders essentially, who work together to collaborate on what supports our school's needs surrounding academics, wellness, and health. We also had Mrs. Willingian, our counselor, Christian, to teach lessons to our 6th grade students and our 10th grade students on Too Good for Drugs and Violence curriculum. We also brought in a peer specialist who spoke to our 10th and 12th grade students. As you can see, we're trying to incorporate as many grades as possible, where the peer specialist from CAPE spoke with students about their own personal experiences and struggles surrounding substance abuse and mental health. And they shared with students how they overcame those struggles and how they sought support to make the right decisions to live long and healthy lives. And they also shared resources available to students in the community. We also have community event weeks in the schools. One recent one was our Red Ribbon Week. We also have awareness services that occur monthly for our students through monthly bulletins and awareness information about substances, healthy decision-making. And we've had 7 bulletins posted in Millbrook Middle School and Millbrook High School thus far. And those bulletins occur monthly, so it's about 7 months of those bulletins have been recurring. And that link that is provided there is a CAPE website that is created by myself in collaboration with Mrs. Gulanian, where we also post information and links related to the month's topic and also for student and parent information. CAPE counselor services that are occurring are again our club team meetings, SAD club and the youth leadership teams. We also have individual prevention and intervention counseling. Mrs. Gulanian had created a newcomers group, and that's not just a newcomers group for any student struggling with any substance abuse or mental health. It's really just any newcomers who come to the school who just need to learn a little bit more about the community and understand what types of services are provided, what types of resources we have, types of clubs that are available to them. We're also in collaboration with maybe having a club fair next year. So that would be great for our students. And then a senior group. Additionally, our wellness fair, our first annual wellness fair is occurring this Thursday, so we're very excited for that. I worked with local businesses in Dutchess County and local agencies to provide a number of resources surrounding wellness for our families, and I even invited a food truck. So if you're interested in joining us for No Cook Thursday, please join us. We're really looking forward to hosting our families, but also providing families with an opportunity to bring their children, right? A lot of pushback in previous events were that, you know, parents need childcare, but we really want to ensure that parents have those types of supports, but also we're able to get together as a community and have a family night. We have an E&L night for our E&L families, but we should have a health and wellness night. And that's also coming from our wellness committee. Some of you on the board are participants in our wellness committee, and we brought this up earlier in the year. So it's one of our goals that are coming into existence. So it's really appreciated the collaboration that we, create as a team with these meetings. It's supportive and we're really looking forward to it. So you'll be able to see that list of vendors that are included. Who have RSVP, and we're hoping that it's a success. I have no doubt that it won't be. And next year, we're hoping to continue to recruit more vendors and grow this annual event for our families. And that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you.
What type of food is it?
Mexican.
Oh my gosh, yeah, thank you. Fabulous.
It does make all the difference.
It does.
Anything else not related to cookies?
Then no. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, future agenda items, you guys see what's on, it's out there if you want to add something to it. The key ones that are coming up though, and we need to make that June 15th date. And of course, our votes. Anyway. Next is, where am I going? Public comment. Alex, did you want
I'd like to withdraw the proposition at this time.
to? Okay.
Yeah, period.
All right, good.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Let's see, so we have, do I have a motion to go? Well, actually, before I do that. We're gonna try to go to executive session to discuss some, employee specific stuff. But that does not mean the meeting is over for anyone listening in the public. We may have to come back from executive session to take action, so stick with us. Do I have a motion to go to executive session? Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Any against? Okay.